The Beyond the Fame podcast is fed by Lido Pizza. Lido Pizza never cuts corners. For menu and locations, visit LidoPizza.com. And of course, this podcast would not be possible without our longtime title sponsor, the Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. September entertainment includes Steel Panther on September 12th and the Gen X Comedy Takeover Tour on September 13th, followed by ZZ Top on September 14th and comedian Matt Matthews the weekend of September 19th. Details and tickets at HollywoodCasinoCharlestown.com. Must be 21 to enter the casino floor and attend a show. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. The Annapolis Songwriters Festival returns to Annapolis, Maryland this Thursday through Sunday, including a pair of sold-out shows by 10,000 Maniacs at the Ram's Head on Saturday and Sunday. I caught up with founding bass player Stephen Gustafson to chronicle the band's journey from recording hits like These Are Days and their unplugged cover of Because the Night, before replacing lead singer Natalie Merchant with Mary Ramsey for 3 more decades of music with a new album on the way. Hey, Stephen Gustafson, founding bass player of 10,000 Maniacs. Hey, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jason. I appreciate it.
You're talking because 10,000 Maniacs, and I think a dog in the background, a 10,001 Maniacs. I love it. My dog's in here too. You're coming to the Ram's Head in Annapolis, Maryland, September 13th and 14th. I think I've seen you all on the bill in Annapolis many times before. Is there a reason you keep on coming back to the Ram's Head? Is it an intimate vibe, or what do you like about it?
I think this will be our 17th and 18th show at the Ram's Head. We actually first played there, I think, in 98.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a fun little venue. It seats 300, and we've sold out both shows for that weekend, and which we usually do. We have good music fans there, and we love the town. Annapolis is just such a cool little town, and with great restaurants, and being a sailor's town, it's a good place to get a tattoo.
Oh, have you actually gotten it? What tattoo have you gotten there?
My son talked me into it. My first one, I thought I would die inkless, but he talked me into it. I got the musical staff with a bass clef because I play the bass guitar, and I got a whole note in the G, and then an S above it, which is in musical terms that's slap. So my initials SG are on the inside of my left arm.
Nice. And were these all in Annapolis or no?
I got that one tattoo in Annapolis a couple years ago when we were there. We actually we liked the town so much we went a day early and had a full day off to just wander around and have fun. And it's a great town.
Yeah, it's so walkable. It's like the sailing culture. There's, the Navy, obviously you can tour the campus. There's, you can get crabs or seafood on the Chesapeake Bay and nearby. It's perfect. And a tattoo, according to you. There you go.
Well, when you're in a sailor town, that's what you should do.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna stop for a minute and let the dogs out. Hang on.
Who let the dogs out? Stephen Gustafson.
Sorry about that.
No worries. I will probably leave it in at the beginning of the interview because I always think it's funny. It gives it a little a little unique feel.
I'm sitting in my kitchen.
I love that. Are you kidding me? When I call these people, at their houses, it gives a sense of their real life. So bring on the dogs. That's what I say.
Well, I do lead a real life.
I have to ask really quick. What's the puppy's name? What's the dog's name?
The big dog is Ivan, and the little dog is Fanny.
Oh, nice. Talking to you off the air, I didn't know if it would be Jeter or Josh Allen or, I know you're a Yankees and Bills fan, so maybe I was thinking I was going to go the sports route.
Well, we've named a lot of our animals over the years, things related to Bob Marley. And, but Ivan, we got from an Amish family, and the young boy who sold us the dog was named Ivan. So we just picked that.
I love it. Not Ivan the terrible, Ivan the adorable.
He's terrible sometimes, but I've got, I own 70 acres of land, and where I built my house, and we've got 6 acres of invisible fence around the house. So the dogs just go out and chase deer and bear and
Just
whatever.
upstate New
Anything.
York or whereabouts?
Well, we're in Western New York in Chautauqua County, which is the westernmost county in New York State. We're right at the tip of New York State,
I got you. I got you.
close to, not far from Lake Erie. And we're on, basically, it's on Chautauqua Lake is the lake that's in Jamestown. But I live in a little farming community just outside of Jamestown, New York.
Awesome. So
Right.
a little bit off the grid, but it sounds like we got good internet connection. So that's
It's
awesome. That's the way to live right
it's
there.
Well, we had dial up for many years out here. I built the house in '93 and we moved in '94. And, we just recently got fiber optics. So it was slow. It was a dirt road when I moved in and they only plowed to my driveway. So, and if there was a lot of rain, sometimes you couldn't get out, but they've paved the road since. And,
Nice.
it's beautiful.
Yeah, it sounds like it. My wife and
Yeah.
I are in Maryland, but upper Western New York sounds beautiful. Well, great. But here in Annapolis, who will be joining or dish on your band members a little bit? Who's joining you on stage? Rattle through them really quick and give them their props.
Well, founding members are myself on bass, Dennis Drew, my friend for over 50 years. He's the keyboardist
Mhm.
and a founding member. And John Lombardo, our rhythm guitarist, is a founding member. And our drummer, Jerome Augustiniak, has been, let's see, next year will be our 45th year. So, and Jerry joined us in '83. So he's been, we started in 1981. So he just
Yeah.
joined us a few years after we started because we needed a good drummer and we found one. And Mary Ramsey is our singer. She's been working with us since the early 1990s. She um, she toured with us when Natalie Merchant was with the band. Mary toured with us as a backup vocalist and viola player. She worked in the studio. She recorded strings and Our Time in Eden, and she also performed with us when we did the MTV Unplugged.
Yeah.
So when Natalie wanted to go solo, um, we sort of turned, looked at Mary, and said, "Hey, do you want a job?"
And now,
and
ironically, now been with you longer, longer than
yeah,
Natalie, like 3 decades about. Yeah. So
yeah, she's been our lead singer since 1994.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then the new kid on the block is Ben Medina. He's from Rockford, Illinois. He was a Uber fan, what we call our stalkers. And I made a Facebook page for him, and
For Uber
it's just
fans. Wow.
yeah.
And they listen to you while riding in Ubers. There you go.
Yeah, and they embrace the name Stalker, and we have a lot of fun with that. But he saw us every time we played in Chicago since he was like 18 years old. And our Robert Buck, our founding member guitarist, he died in 2000. And we had a friend of ours, Jeff Erickson, who was also Rob's guitar tech. Jeff started playing guitar for us, and he was very good at it. And then he took another job. He runs the events for the National Comedy Center here in Jamestown, New York. So we were without a guitarist, and um, we knew Jeff was going to leave. And so when we were in Chicago, I asked Ben. He was after the show. I was talking because I got to know him because I go out and talk to fans after the shows. Um, and I said, "How many Maniac songs do you know on guitar?" And he said, "I know all of them." And I said, "You know all of our songs?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "I don't know all our songs."
But that's what
And
happens when you're a stalker. You're an Uber fan.
yes,
But
and
it should be
so
called Maniacs, right? Or that's just
well,
regular fan. Yeah.
yeah, I guess. So we were heading home the next day. I said, "Send me a phone video of you playing These Are Days, Stockton Gala Days, and Eden."
Yeah.
Three sort of challenging songs to play of ours, for the guitarist.
Yeah.
And so he did that, and I shared the videos with the other band members, and they said, "Wow, that's pretty good." So we invited him to Jamestown for an audition 2 years ago, um, and he passed with flying colors. And
Wow.
he's fortunately, I mean, he still has a job. The rest of us are all retired from anything else that we did in our lives.
Yeah.
Now we just play in the band. But he's an IT architect, so he builds IT things for companies, mostly in the UK. So he can do his job from anywhere. He's got a phone and his laptop, and
Yeah.
and he's committed. He's really good. He's a delightful man. He's got 8 kids. His wife homeschooled all of them.
Whoa.
He's a great guy, and he really studied Rob Buck's style of guitar playing, and can play just like Rob if we ask him to, or and he's very diverse. He's played in a lot of cover bands over his life, which is what he's mostly done. And this is his first time he's been in a touring band.
Ben Medina is his name.
Ben Medina. Yep.
Funky Cold Medina.
He's got a shirt that says that.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's the lineup that everyone will see at Ram's Head.
That's freaking great. Yeah, I always want to give shout outs not only to the person I'm interviewing, the founding bass player here, Steven, but everyone else that's going to be on stage that we're going to see if we come to the show. And it'd be great. And thanks also for drawing the distinction, of course, that Mary Ramsey's been there, longer now than Natalie. But I think Natalie's coming to do a solo show at Indianapolis in November too, at the Maryland Hall. So it's cool. Rising tide raises all boats. It's good to see you all on your parallel tracks, out there still doing it and crushing it.
Well, we were going to Elektra Records, our old record company, that we released all the records with Natalie, are making a box set that was initially going to be released in November. Mm-hmm. But and I think that's one of the reasons she decided to go out to maybe kind of promote that a little bit. But okay. She's doing it's just her and a guitarist. I think it's sort of a very intimate, sort of gentle sort of show, which is what she prefers.
Right, that more singer-songwriter gentle thing, and that'll be at Maryland Hall. And if you want to come see the 10,000 Maniacs rock out, come to the Ram's Head, baby. It's gonna be great. Happy for all of you all. I assume you still stay in touch, or I guess I should ask: do you stay in touch? It's good terms.
We are on good terms, and she, she doesn't live around here anymore. She moved. She lives in the Hudson Valley. And so her brother died recently, and she was here for the funeral, and I saw her there. And I've seen her a few times, but it's not like we pick up the phone and chat.
Yeah. But when big life events happen like that, sad ones, you still stay in touch and are on good terms. That's good. That's good to hear. All right. Well, as far as 10,000 Maniacs, you've mentioned Jamestown, New York a bunch. You're born in Seville, Spain in 1957. So how do you move here to the States? Like what brought you to the Jamestown connection?
Well, my dad was in the Air Force, and that's why he was stationed in Madrid.
Military brat, moving around.
He was in for 22 years, and he retired. And my parents were from Jamestown, and went to Jamestown High School, where I went. In fact, I went to the same schools that my mother went to. Right. I grew up in the house that she grew up in because it was her father, my grandfather, built that house in 1923, and so she grew up there. And when my dad retired from the Air Force, they moved back home. We were at SAC headquarters in Omaha, Nebraska, when he retired, and he was just wanted to retire from the military. So they moved home, and that's where I basically grew up with my 2 sisters. And in 1972, as a sophomore at Jamestown High School, in homeroom, I was sitting behind a guy named Dennis Drew, who was from the north side of Jamestown. I was from the west side. He was an athlete, and I was kind of a wallflower. But we bonded over music. We just started talking about, what kind of music we liked, and, Bob Dylan and Neil Young and the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. And I said, well, I play guitar. And he said, yeah, I play piano. So I would take the crosstown bus or ride my bike over to his house. And, we'd sit in his living room and just play Bob Dylan songs and Neil Young songs and Elton John songs, and dream about, maybe being professional musicians. And we were running a college radio station, a 10-watt non-commercial college radio station at Jamestown Community College, where we were students. And I was doing a shift in the afternoon shift in August in 1980, and a young girl, she was only 17, walked into the radio station and said, hey, I hear your station. You guys play cool music. Will you play some of these records? Because she had like Brian Ferry and a Bob Marley record. And I said, sure, come on in. And, which basically a club. It was just a college club is what it was. And I said, you should join the station. And she did. And she did a radio shift. and we just became friends, and hung out, smoked dope, and um, one of my shifts later that fall, I got a call from a fellow named Robert Buck. Uh, he said he was working at a factory down the road, and he said, "Yeah, I like that Elvis Costello song you played." And I said, "Oh yeah." So we talked about music, and he said, "Yeah, I got this band named the Obsessions, but we're having a hard time finding places to play. Do you know any place?" And I said, "Well, we do a Wednesday night, air quotes, coffee house thing. Really, it was just a reason to just have fun and smoke pot." And
Yeah.
so yeah, his band came and played, and we became friends with Rob. And uh, his band was kind of breaking up, and a couple of the guys were moving out of town. They were a terrible band, but they were great. Really sort of no wave, avant garde, fake jazz, punk stuff. Really fun. Terrible, but fun. And he said, "Hey, do you want to, join the band?" And I said, "Yeah, that'd be fun." And he said, "Well, we need a bass player," which a lot of bands always do. And I had never played bass, but I said, "Sure, typical. It can't be too hard. It's only four strings on it." And a friend gave me a beat up old bass and taught me a few things. And I actually went and auditioned for Rob, and one of his buddies, at his friend's apartment or something. And I took, I don't know why, but I took a bottle of wild turkey with me. I'd never really drank it before, but I liked it, I guess, because it had a cork. And I drank most of it, passed out, and he said, "I'll take him." So I said, my buddy Dennis, he plays keyboards, and so we found a this old deserted factory in Jamestown, which there were many, where there was this sort of artist co-op going on, and we rented a 15 by 15 foot office, empty space, and found a drummer and invited Natalie down to hang out. We didn't know if she wanted to be in the band or not. We were just friends, and said, "Hey, come on, we're going to play music and have some drinks and smoke dope." And she said, "Okay." And she just started sort of screaming into the microphone, because we were terrible. It was bad. None of us could really play
Right.
very well. But and her mother came down and took her home and said, "Stay away from those guys. All they're just druggies and orgies." And half of that was right.
Well, they had the
Uh,
wild turkey in the pot. Yeah.
yeah, right. And she just kept coming back, and we really couldn't play other songs. We weren't that good, so we just made stuff up. And the first show we played, that band was called Still Life. So the first show we played was at a bar in Erie, Pennsylvania. We were the opening act. There were three bands on the bill, and we were the opening act. And we had only been together for about 6 weeks, so we were scared to death. It was, and we were horrible. Um, but the crowd was, they applauded and they were nice to us.
Politely.
And we got into an argument with the owner of the bar, and I won't go into all the details, but he threw us out after our set, and so we thought we were that was the coolest thing ever. And then there was this little scene happening in Jamestown, because in 1978 the Ramones played
Yeah.
in Jamestown, so this little punk scene started happening. So
This is
um,
Jamestown, New York. We got to say, folks, not Virginia. Yeah,
nope, Jamestown, New
yeah,
York,
yeah,
and home of Lucille Ball and
yep.
Judge Robert Jackson from the Nuremberg trials.
Wow.
And so anyway, um, there were a couple other bands that we'd all go see and hang out. Became friends with these other bands, and John Lombardo, he probably had the coolest band. They played a couple originals, but mostly covers, but just really cool stuff. Jonathan Richman and Elvis Costello, and there were always a bunch of girls around, and so it was really fun. And his the two brothers that guitarists that were in his band were leaving for college, and we just said, John suggested we form a band together, and so in September of 1981, 10,000 Maniacs played their first show in
Wow.
Jamestown, New York.
Wow. How'd you settle on the name?
Um, well, John was a real list maker. He was really good at making lists. He's also had a master's degree in art, so he was very talented with that. And he liked to draw. And
I thought you were saying he got a master's in making lists.
no, well, he probably could teach a class in it.
Yeah,
Um, he um, he had a list of a bunch of names, and we were at a friend's house smoking pot, I think, and just going through the names, and most of them were pretty bad, but that one sort of just stuck out. I mean, it's like the first thing you could see in the list because of the number, and we wanted, we fancied ourselves a punk band, we were, although we're closer to folk rock, really.
yeah.
And it just, we thought, oh, that'd be cool, and so we said we just pick that. We liked it because you can't judge a book by its cover, and we wanted it to be challenging for people. We wanted people to be curious and go, oh, this must be crazy stuff, and then come and hear us do these, we did songs with mandolin and accordion, and we did heavier stuff and fast stuff and punk-ish, I guess, you could say.
Yeah.
And we just started writing songs. And in 82, we some friends had said we should invited us to Atlanta, Georgia, and said you should come down here, and you can get a lot of gigs. And so we did. We moved to Atlanta, rented a house, slept on the floor. We didn't have any furniture, we just slept on the floor, and we didn't get many gigs. We bought rakes and went around to the wealthy neighborhoods in Atlanta and raked leaves to make money, and sold. I sold my plasma, for money, and we kind of went home dejected, and realized that what we really had to do was tour. And because of our connections in college radio, Dennis and I, Dennis did most of the booking, but we would call those college radio stations and ask them where the bands played,
Mm-hmm.
and they'd say, well, and back then, colleges still had bars because the drinking age was 18,
Right.
and so we played in a lot of college bars and some, just dives, and we'd get paid $50, and we bought a 1979 Dodge Tradesman van that had been converted to a school bus. And
Nice.
so it had the round top, and it had the school bus door on the passenger side in front, and with just a driver's seat, and then a bench seat in the back, and then two seats in front of that. And we packed all our gear, all our luggage, a tent, a little PA. We just crammed into the back of that thing and drove up and down the East Coast in 90 or in 83. Starting in September, we started touring, and we did that 4 times.
Your tour
Um,
bus was a school bus. Not every tour bus has the little stop. Did it have the stop sign that came out?
no, but it had the blinking lights
That's fantastic. And the door, the
and the
bus
door that
bus
would
style
swing
door. That's
open, and
fantastic.
we painted it. We left the top yellow, we painted the body green, and we painted the bumpers red because we were into sort of reggae. And so we had red, green, and gold, and we stenciled "Sing Out with Joy" on the driver's side in case we ever got pulled over when we were driving around in the South.
Wow.
And they'd think we were like some Christian band, and
Wow.
we were all good kids.
That's your
And
magical mystery bus, the Beatles
it,
style.
yeah, sort of, or more like the Ken Kesey bus.
Nice.
So yeah, we slept on people's floors. We couldn't afford hotel rooms, and or we slept in the bus. Just slept in our seats, and we had the tent we used a few times, and it seemed to always rain every time we used it. And we'd go to a state park or something and sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, uh, and then in one of our visits to Athens, Georgia, which really was sort of a mecca because of B-52s and REM, and they had a lot of bands there. We got a gig at the infamous or famous 40 Watt Club, and one of the band members in a band called Pylon, Michael, I forget his last name right now, but he said, "Hey, you should contact our agent, Frank Riley, up in New York." So we sent Frank a record, and he booked us a gig in Hoboken in January of 1984, and came and saw us and said, "You guys are good. I'll get you into cooler clubs," and he did, and including Danceteria in Manhattan. Big
Ah,
four floors club. There was a
yeah.
disco, there was the bar, there was the concert hall, and then I was kind of like the heroin room where all the really junkies sort of hung out. And um, at March of '84, an A&R representative from Elektra Records, Howard Thompson, was at that show and saw us. And also the the gentleman who would become our manager, a British guy named Peter Leake, an unfortunate name. Um,
Oh,
uh,
that's great. I'm
Peter,
sorry, Peter. I'm sure you've gotten that many times in your life, but
yeah,
Stephen, that's I'm sorry. That's just funny.
he. So Howard said, "I'm going to sign you." So in November of '84, we signed our contract with Elektra Records, and we had basically 3 months to write 20 songs. And
Is that the
we got
wishing chair? Does that become the wishing
that
chair?
became the wishing chair, and we rented a cabin on Chautauqua Lake that winter in December and January and February, and started writing, more songs. And I was homeless. I didn't have any place to live. My parents had moved to Florida, and if I didn't have a girlfriend with an apartment, I was either staying at the YMCA or couch surfing.
And sleeping on the
Um,
bus, the school bus?
no, by that time the bus was gone. It had run its course,
Yeah.
and so I lived at the cabin, and Joe Boyd, who produced the record, he was an American living in London. He produced all the early Pink Floyd records, and he Fairport Convention, and he came to Jamestown. He came to Jamestown and stayed with us for about a week, and we did pre-production there, and then we went to London in April of '85, and that's where we recorded the Wishing Chair.
Wow. Thanks for the backstory and how you actually got signed and how Wishing Chair came to be in '85. All right, so that's the Wishing Chair, and that's the I know you had done one sort of more of like an indie one before that, but the Wishing Chair is like the first big breakthrough for 10,000 Maniacs in '85. So then John Lombardo leaves briefly after Wishing Chair, and then you guys do In My Tribe. That has Like the Weather, What's the Matter Here? What was
Yeah.
it like putting that together without John? I know he would come back later, but did you have to hurry to replace him, or what was the experience like?
Well, it was just sort of an unfortunate thing. We weren't making any money, and we had a slight difference of opinion in musical direction,
Creative
and
differences.
a little bit. And there was an argument, and he said, "Well, I'm gonna quit." And we said, "Okay." And really, what it meant, because he wrote a lot of the songs, so what
Right.
it meant was, other people had to step up and start writing more songs,
Yeah.
and we did. And because the Wishing Chair didn't sell well, we got some critical praise, but it did sell well. But back then, record companies they were investing in bands. They had lots of money, and then of course CDs happened right after the Wishing Chair was made,
Mm-hmm.
and record companies had piles of cash. So they said, "All right, we'll do another record, but you got to do. We get to pick the producer." And they picked Peter Asher because he had worked with Linda Ronstadt,
Not too shabby.
And
Yeah.
James Taylor,
Yeah.
uh, and he was really sort of excited to work with us and with Natalie. And so we went to LA and did and recorded that record out in Los Angeles, and of
Mm.
course that did better.
Right. And
And
Natalie wrote, like you said, John Lombardo was your key songwriter before that. So without him, then
yeah,
Natalie steps up and writes Like the Weather and co-writes What's the Matter Here, right? With
well, she co-wrote all the songs because she
okay.
wrote the lyrics.
Oh, okay. But the music is all you guys putting in there.
Most of the music was written by Robert Dennis,
All right. You said she
and
wrote the lyrics, you said. Yeah, yeah.
she wrote the lyrics. So she was always a co-writer of a
I
song.
see. Gotcha.
And
But group effort overall. Yeah.
yeah, we all sort of contributed, and that did well, and we toured like crazy. And because of we had met the guys in REM, and they liked us. They brought us out on a couple of tours, which basically playing college gymnasiums, which helped sell records, and that Peter Asher, we were in the studio goofing around playing Peace Train by Cat Stevens. Just when there's they're working on something, they said, well, hang on, fellas, we'll be right back. And so we just start goofing around with that. And he comes in the studio and says, what is that? What is that? And we said, it's Peace Train. And he said, play it again. And we said, okay. And he thought, okay, that's going to be the single. And we sort of weren't really happy about it, but he sort of forced us, he talked us into doing it.
Yeah.
And it got us on the radio. And that got us on late night television with Jay Leno and David Letterman and eventually Saturday Night Live. And of course, then the rest is
history. Well, we're going to go into some of that history, but real quick aside, when you mentioned Cat Stevens' Peace Train, I saw Cat Stevens perform that song on the National Mall, dueling with Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy Osbourne was doing Crazy Train, and then it would go back to Cat Stevens doing Peace Train, and they would like go back and forth. And then the hosts of the event, Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert, brought out the OJs to do Love Train, and everyone kumbaya got along. So that was burned in my mind every time I hear Peace Train. Great song. But you guys did a version.
And we've resurrected it. We play it now, and sometimes at our shows.
Yeah, I know for a while you stopped playing it and then you brought it back. Yeah.
Seems kind of fitting
for today. Oh, you kidding me? Absolutely. We need it. We need it. Keep playing. We need you guys. And that album, In My Tribe, I guess double platinum, something like that. So you guys are off to the races at that point. You follow up with another platinum album, Blind Man Zoo, in 89. That had Trouble Me. Was that Natalie about her dad? Is that right?
I think it was about maybe probably a family member or just a younger person speaking to an elderly person, which we all are now.
Yeah, time marches on. But my point is you keep rock and rolling. So that's 2 at least platinum in a row. And then you get another double platinum after that in Our Time in Eden in 1992. And that's one of the ones that has one of 10,000 Maniacs' big hits. These Are the Days tops the charts, folks, tops the Billboard Modern Rock Tracks chart. So basically, if you were alive in 92, like I was, you remember These Are the Days. Memories of putting that together in the studio. Any cool insights on recording it for me?
We were writing the songs for what was going to become that record, in our studio in Jamestown. And the president of Elektra Records, Bob Krasnow, we sent them sort of demos of stuff we were doing. And like most record companies, they like to say, we don't hear a hit yet. They want hits, they want singles. And so he flew to Jamestown in his private jet, took us out to lunch. And basically said, you got to write some more songs. We don't really hear singles. And then he got in his private jet and flew back to New York. And we went, oh, okay. And we went back to our studio, and Rob Buck says, well, I've got this Hawaiian slack tuning that I want to play a couple chords for you, and it's in E flat. And so we started playing the chords, and it was basically a 1-4-5, which most songs are, and that became These Are Days.
Wow, These Are Days. Great. And that same year you perform at the presidential inaugural ball
Yeah, we did two. We did two of Clinton's. We did the MTV inaugural ball, and then we did his for his next one. We played in DC.
Wow, seems like a simpler time back then. I mean, the last time the budget was balanced, and I'm not even going to go into all the personal stuff that followed, and that is still maybe following Trump, Clinton, and stuff. But back then, I mean, it's a big deal to be. My point is, it's a big deal to play at a ball. Big deal.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah.
We were it was really exciting. And the second time we played, it was with Mary Ramsey singing,
Okay.
and she didn't, but a couple of the crew and some of the band members, we smoked a joint backstage.
Yeah.
We, with Secret Service crawling all over the place, and
Wow.
because we were just sort of, rebels.
Sure.
Anyway, and then we got the and we knew when we recorded that record that was going to be our last studio record with Natalie. I mean, she'd always said she'd quit because she really didn't. We were boys. We were, boyish and boorish and like to, drink whiskey and smoke dope and have fun. And
You wanted to go solo and do her own thing.
Well, yeah, she did. And so we knew that was going to happen. And someone told MTV that because we had already done an MTV Unplugged, we did one of the first ones.
Right.
Someone leaked to them, probably our manager Peter, that Natalie was going to be leaving.
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh, well, let's have them do another MTV Unplugged because they normally don't let bands do more than one."
Yeah.
So we got to do that second one, and of course, that sold about 4 million copies.
Yeah, because that's because the night belongs to love, and that was originally written by Bruce Springsteen, but also memorably Patti Smith does it. But 10,000 Maniacs version, probably as a kid growing up in the '90s, yours might have been the first one I remember hearing. So yeah, because the night is massively successful off of MTV Unplugged. Gosh, that was such a sweet special window in time. You get Nirvana doing Unplugged, we get you guys doing Unplugged, particularly because the night, it's just burned into all our brains, those of us who watched it. But how about you? Is that experience burned into your brain?
No.
You forget it.
Yeah, I've forgotten a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Is there a mind-altering reason you forget it?
Well, I don't smoke pot anymore, but
Yeah.
I get.
But it was a wild experience, let's say.
it was, we got to play with David Byrne, and he was a cool guy, and it was yeah, it was really fun. We were quite thrilled to be able to do it, and knew it was going to be we knew it was going to be successful. And then she leaves, and we say, "Mary, you want a gig?" And she says yes. And John comes back into the band, and we record the record for Geffen. We record "Love Among the Ruins" for them, which had more than this on it. And
in 97, right? Yeah. So Natalie,
yeah, 97.
We're going chronologically. Natalie leaves
93.
And then the Tiger Lily solo album 95 has Carnival, Jealousy, Wonder, all that good stuff. Are you guys rooting for her from afar, or are you just locked in trying to have Mary step in and working on Love Among the Ruins? Or you're not having much time to pay attention? I guess it's parallel tracks happening.
Yeah. We love Natalie, and we wish her, all success. And we're grateful that the time that she shared with us.
I just meant that Tiger Lily album itself.
I haven't heard it.
You've never listened to it. Wow. All right. You guys are the Lost Boys, and she's doing Tiger Lily, and you moved on without her.
Well, what else were we going to do?
Yeah. I just think that's amazing. You've never listened to it. Okay. All right. Well, there you go.
I mean, I've heard the songs
on the radio. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't leave a grocery store without hearing it. Yeah. But Love Among the Ruins, this is your time to really dote on Mary Ramsey. Obviously, you were impressed enough because you were like, wow, this is great. She's going to be with us for the next 30 years after that. So obviously, she was impressive stepping into that lead singer role. So yeah, just impressions of her work on Love Among the Ruins, where you're like, all right, we got our new singer. Let's off to the races.
Well, Mary's very talented. She's got a lovely voice, and she's an incredible violist. It was basically having another lead player in the band, which was kind of unique. And we featured that. We made that record in Athens. We went to Athens, Georgia, and worked with a producer down there. And I wasn't when record was done. Of course, Geffen said, "Well, we don't really hear a single." So then we went in the studio and recorded More Than This. We did that up in Woodstock with a different producer. But I initially I wasn't really 100% happy about that record. But over the, looking back on it and listening to it now, I think it's really great. And there's a lot of really good songs on that record. And of course, that was when file sharing started, Napster and all that stuff. And we were
Yeah.
the last band that Geffen signed, and we were the first band that Geffen dropped. So they released More Than This as a single, and it sold a lot. It charted higher than Roxy Music's version of it in the charts, as did Because the Night charted higher than Patti Smith's version of it.
Yeah.
But we weren't selling, the album wasn't selling.
The
So
industry, the technology of Napster and everything, the industry was just totally upside down at the
it
time.
fell apart.
People didn't know what to do about it. Yeah.
Our first record was vinyl and cassettes.
Yeah.
Now we're Spotify. We kept going. Then when we released The Earth Pressed Flat, we did that independently. And
that was the last one with Robert Buck, right? He died the following year, right?
He did.
Damn.
He died in 2000. And then so we didn't do much for 2-3 years, and decided that maybe we should, because we knew Jeff Erickson, and Jeff Erickson knew Rob's tunings, and because he was his guitar tech.
Yeah.
And he's a very talented guitarist. And we said, hey, let's start up the band again. So we did, and we recorded, and John left briefly again, and we recorded
Music for the Motion Picture.
Thank you.
2013.
Yeah, thank you. I don't have any of that information in front of me, so I can't remember it. So we did that, and we did that with crowdsourced that. I did a Pledge Music.
Oh, really? Like a
campaign.
Kickstarter or like a?
Yeah, it was called Pledge Music, and I'd met the guys that were running that, and at a gig or somewhere, and they said, you should do this. And so I said, okay. And I basically did that whole campaign myself. And, right. It basically paid for making the record. We didn't sell many. I mean, we don't make any money from any records we do.
More touring now. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. That's where, if you want to make any money, unless you can get 1 billion streams. Then we did the folk record, Twice Told Tales, which was
that's John coming back in, John Lombardo back for that one, right?
Yes, and we said curate some British folk tunes that you like, and we'll just make a record. And we did that up in Cassadaga, New York, at Tarbox, where Tarbox Studios out in the woods that David Fridman runs, and he produced a lot of the Flaming Lips records there. Nice. Yeah, the Lips would come up and play there, record there. So then we did that, and then we're working on and we did a couple of live records, playing favorites and Live from the Belly Up, a cool club out in Solana Beach, California. And then we are working on a new record, and that will be released next year, probably after the Elektra, the box set comes out on, I think, on April 20th on Record Store Day. Nice. So we're finishing up that. We've got a few more songs to get basic tracks for, but most of the songs are completed. They're not mastered yet. But
is there an album title for it yet, or TV?
It's going to be, I believe it's going to be called Dawn Chorus.
Dawn, as in DAWN, Dawn Chorus.
Yeah, Dan, as in the sun's coming up. Dawn Chorus. Coming up,
and you hear a chorus. I love it. Well, that's big news you're telling us here. I mean, I'm probably not breaking news. I'm sure it's out there, but at least for me, I didn't realize that's going to be like the first non-live new album of music for 10,000 Maniacs in like 10 years. And so yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, there's some really cool songs on it, and Dennis keeps writing more and more. I mean, we probably got 17 songs we could put on it.
Now, is it different from the Twice Told Tales? Was more of a folk sounding, almost more of the John and Mary style folk duo. But is this more rock, the new one you're doing?
It's all kinds of stuff. John wrote a lot of songs. A few, I wrote some songs with Dennis, contributed some lyrics. Mm-hmm. It sounds like us, and we can't sound like anybody else. It's just, and there's some really gentle things, and there's some more rocking things. Mm-hmm. And we actually had some guest musicians Lee Nash and Matt Slocum from Sixpence None the Richer they're old friends of ours.
Nice.
They contributed some vocals and guitar playing on it. And Jeff Erickson's going to be on it. He played. We started this record in the pandemic in 2020. We had nothing to do, so we said, well, let's write some songs. I said, come on, let's get together and write songs. Of course, there's some germaphobes in the band, and they were afraid to leave their house, so it's taken us fucking forever to get this thing done. Pardon my language.
No, it was the world changed on a dime with that, man. A lot of things we weren't even thinking about. Then now we're like, well, wait a minute, the germs are out there. Yeah, I got you. By the way, we had Matt Slocum on here one time.
He's a great guy. He's really cool. I still text him. He's a huge tennis fan, so we were texting during the U.S. Open.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to that new album. Maybe we'll hear some of those teased out at Ram's Head. We don't know. You got to come to the show to see it, everybody.
We might.
Along with all the hits, of course. You're going to get all the favorites.
Yep. And, because the Ram's Head is so intimate, we can do more sort of quiet stuff if we want to. If you're playing a stand-up room or an outdoor show, like we're playing at Bourbon and Beyond next week out in Louisville for that big festival, you got to bash people over their heads, because if, you play a song they don't know, they leave and get beer. So, when you've got a captive audience, you can play anything you want.
Yeah.
And, they're all, a lot of the stalkers will be sitting right in front row, and they bring us gifts. One guy, Richard Allen, this guy that lives down near there in DC, he used to work in the Clinton White House, actually, communications director. He made Jerry a snare drum. He's a woodworker, and he's always bringing us gifts. It's really great. He's such a wonderful, wonderful guy.
Wow. Well, there you go. I still think you should call the stalkers Maniacs, but that's just me.
All right.
Like Eminem stands.
Right.
Final seconds here, winding down. I always love to sort of go beyond the fame and talk about any personal causes or philanthropic, any charities. I know your older sister had Down syndrome. Do you still do anything with that cause or any other causes you want to tease?
Well, we have Dennis and I started a scholarship fund in our mother's names for women that want to go to college, continue their education. And there's also a Robert Buck Memorial Fund that we've poured money into for students who want to study music. We started, Dennis's son-in-law unfortunately passed away from an aneurysm last year.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was just terrible. And so they've got a scholarship going for him. I like to garden. I grow garlic, we grow weed. I don't smoke it, but it's fun to grow. I golf, hang out, take care of the house. I got a grandson now, so he's like busy with him. And the Buffalo Bills.
Oh my God! Did you see what a game you beat I'm a Commanders fan. I'm actually, but I'll say as in Baltimore, Maryland. Josh Allen in a duel with Lamar Jackson, two of the best ever, and Allen, man, woo! Yesterday.
Yeah, that was something else.
We jumping up in front of the TV.
Oh hell yeah! My son and I and his girlfriend were here watching the game, and it was we get rowdy.
Allen is the real deal. I know he's run into the Mahomes buzzsaw a couple times, and Lamar, and we got Jaden Daniels now. Lots of good quarterbacks, but that AFC particularly is insane. And Josh Allen, you guys are overdue. He's so good that you guys deserve to go all the way at some point. Maybe this will be the year. Maybe.
Well, congratulations on for the Washington win too. That's your quarterback is good. I like him.
Oh my God, you kidding me? Last year, Jaden Daniels, rookie year, goes all the way to the NFC Championship. So
absolutely.
Sorry for us, DC beating the Bills back in their 4 straight losses. Sorry, I have to rub that in before you go. Yeah. No, this is your year. Hey, best of luck. Thank you so much. 10,000 Maniacs, Rams Head, Annapolis, September 13, 14. Get your tickets. Stephen Gustafson, you're the man.
It's sold out.
Oh, it's sold out. Sold out. Well, thanks for taking the time to join us anyway.
I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time.